John Miller stared at the large window in his small State Department office. The morning had started like any other Tuesday. He had reviewed trade agreements, filed reports, and prepared for a meeting about fishing rights with the Canadian ambassador. Then the world changed forever. "Mr. Miller, they're asking for you specifically," Secretary Diane Russell said, her voice shaking slightly. "The aliens, they want someone ordinary, as they put it." John turned from the window, his coffee cup frozen halfway to his lips. "Ma'am, there must be some mistake." "No mistake. The ship is hovering over the National Mall. The president is on his way to the White House. And these visitors asked our negotiating team to bring the human called John Miller to the meeting." She handed him a blue folder. "Congratulations. You've just become Earth's first ambassador to an alien civilization." 3 hours later, John sat in a hastily prepared conference room at the Pentagon. The walls were lined with military personnel, scientists, and government officials. Across from him sat 3 beings that definitely weren't human. The aliens called themselves representatives of the Galactic Confederation. Their leader, Ambassador Stor, resembled a tall, thin human with bluish skin and large, unblinking eyes. When he spoke, his mouth didn't quite match the English words coming out. "We are pleased you could join us, John Miller," said the alien. "We selected you as a typical specimen of your species." John nodded politely, though something felt off. He had always been good at reading people, and despite the alien appearance, he could sense the slight tilt of Stor's head, the way his eyes narrowed when talking about Earth's technology. It was the same look John had seen from wealthy diplomats when dealing with developing nations. Lisa Hoffman, the NASA xenolinguist seated beside John, whispered, "They're using some kind of translation device. Be careful what you say." John nodded again and smiled at the aliens. "We're honored by your visit. May I ask why the Galactic Confederation has chosen to contact Earth now?" Ambassador Stor made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "Your planet recently began sending primitive radio signals and basic spacecraft beyond your atmosphere. The Confederation monitors such developments. We are here to welcome Earth into the galactic community." The alien's tone was friendly, but John noticed how he emphasized the word primitive. He had sat through enough diplomatic meetings to recognize condescension. "And what does membership in this community involve?" John asked. "Protection, guidance, access to suitable technologies." Stor smiled, showing teeth that looked almost too perfect. "Earth would become a protected territory. We would establish outposts to help manage your development." Several officials around the room nodded eagerly. John saw the gleam in their eyes at the mention of alien technology. Lisa passed John a note. "Protected territory equals colony." John folded the note carefully. "Ambassador, this is very generous. Of course, we would need to understand the details of such an arrangement." "Of course," Stor replied. "We have helped many developing worlds this way. We will provide information packets about our standard integration process." The meeting continued for another hour. The aliens showed impressive visuals of advanced cities on other worlds and spoke of trade, cultural exchange, and technological assistance. Yet John couldn't shake the feeling that something important was being left unsaid. As the aliens prepared to leave, Stor approached John privately. "You are different from the others, John Miller. You watch more than you speak." "Just trying to learn, Ambassador." "A wise approach. We will return in 3 days for your planet's preliminary response." The alien leaned closer. "Between us, accepting our offer quickly would be advantageous for your career when new management structures are implemented." After the aliens departed, the room erupted in excited discussion. President Howard Grant called for immediate analysis of the Confederation's proposal. Scientists debated the technologies they had glimpsed. Military leaders argued about security implications. Lisa found John staring out the window at the spot where the alien ship had been visible. "You didn't seem impressed by their offer," she said. "When someone's too eager to give you a gift," John replied, It's worth asking what they want in return. Lisa nodded slowly. So what do we do now? John turned from the window. We find out what Earth has that's valuable enough for them to cross the stars to get it. The next 2 days passed in a blur of meetings. John and Lisa worked around the clock, reviewing the information packets the aliens had provided. The more they read, the more concerned they became. Look at this, Lisa said, pointing to a section about resource management. They mention extraction rights for the Confederation on all protected territories. John frowned. And nothing about limits or compensation. He rubbed his tired eyes. I need to show this to Secretary Russell. But the secretary was too busy coordinating with other world leaders, all of whom seemed eager to accept the Confederation's offer. The promise of advanced technology had everyone excited. Few were asking questions about the cost. You're overthinking this, Miller, Secretary Russell told him when he finally got 5 minutes with her. This is the greatest opportunity in human history. That evening, Lisa arrived at John's office with a young woman he didn't recognize. This is Olivia Wright, Lisa said. She works for an intelligence agency she won't name. Olivia placed a thick folder on John's desk. I've been analyzing the star charts the Confederation provided. We cross-referenced them with our deep space observations. She opened the folder to reveal photos of distant planets. These 3 worlds joined the Confederation as protected territories in the last century. Look at them now. The images showed planets with massive scars visible even from space. Entire continents appeared stripped bare. Mining operations, Olivia explained. And look at their atmospheric readings. Massive pollution increases after Confederation assistance began. John stared at the images. They're not looking for allies. They're looking for resources. Exactly, Lisa said. And I've analyzed which planets they've approached versus those they've avoided. There's a pattern. They target worlds with specific rare mineral combinations, which Earth has in abundance, Olivia added. John was about to respond when his phone rang. The caller ID showed a restricted number. Mr. Miller, Captain Frank Bennett, U.S. Navy. We need to talk. But not on this line. The man gave an address and told John to come alone. I got to go, John told the women. Keep digging. The address led John to an unmarked building near the Potomac. Inside, he was escorted to a small conference room where a man in a naval uniform waited. Thanks for coming, Captain Bennett said, offering his hand. I've been running a classified program studying potential off-world threats. When the Confederation showed up, my project got a lot more relevant. He showed John to a wall of screens displaying data John couldn't understand. We've been monitoring their ship, Bennett continued. Their technology is advanced, but not as advanced as they want us to believe. And we've detected unusually high radiation signatures from their engines. What does that mean? John asked. It means they're inefficient. Their tech is impressive, but wasteful. Bennett turned to face John directly. My team has been analyzing their communication frequencies. They're talking to someone else, not just their home base. There are other Confederation ships nearby, hiding in our solar system. John felt his stomach tighten. They're planning something. I think so, and we don't have much time. Bennett lowered his voice. The president is planning to accept their offer tomorrow. Most world leaders are on board. We need to present our findings, John said. Bennett shook his head. We tried. They called us paranoid. No one wants to risk offending our new alien friends. He took a deep breath. That's why I contacted you. I have access to something they don't know about. An experimental ship with some very interesting capabilities. What are you suggesting? John asked. A small team. A covert mission. We need to learn more about these aliens before Earth signs anything. Bennett's eyes were intense. And we need someone who understands diplomacy if things go wrong. John thought about the scared planets in Olivia's photos. When do we leave? Tonight. I've already contacted Dr. Hoffman. And I have an engineer named Susan Parker who's been secretly studying their technology. She's made some interesting discoveries. As John left the building, his phone buzzed with a message from the State Department. The Confederation representatives had moved up the timeline. They wanted Earth's answer by noon tomorrow. John texted Lisa, "We're out of time. Meet me at the location Captain Bennett showed you in 1 hour." He looked up at the night sky, wondering which distant point of light might be another Confederation ship waiting to claim Earth's resources. They needed answers, and they needed them fast. John arrived at a small airfield outside of Washington just before midnight. A helicopter waited with its rotors already spinning. Lisa stood nearby talking with a woman John assumed was Susan Parker, the engineer Captain Bennett had mentioned. "We need to hurry," Lisa said as John approached. The Confederation sent a message saying they're moving the meeting to their ship tomorrow. Once we're on their territory, who knows what could happen. The helicopter took them to a military base in Nevada that didn't appear on any official maps. Captain Bennett met them at the landing pad and led them through a series of security checkpoints to an underground hangar. "Welcome to Project Breakthrough," Bennett said as they entered a vast chamber. In the center sat what looked like a sleek fighter jet, but unlike any aircraft John had ever seen. Its surface seemed to shift colors slightly as they approached. "What is that?" John asked. "We call it the Sparrow," Bennett replied. "Officially, it doesn't exist. It's based on technology we've been developing for decades with some recent improvements." Susan Parker stepped forward. "I've been studying the Confederation's communication signals. They use a form of quantum mechanics for faster-than-light travel that's actually less advanced than what we theorized 20 years ago." John looked confused. "How is that possible?" "Because they all think the same way," Lisa said. "From what I've studied of their language and information packets, the Confederation species develop along very similar lines. They have a unified approach to science and technology. Humans, on the other hand," Susan continued, "come up with a dozen different solutions to the same problem. Most fail, but some work in ways no one expected. We're messy, but creative." "What does this have to do with our mission?" John asked. Dr. Alan Porter, a geneticist who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "It's not just our technology that's different. Genetically, humans show adaptability that's remarkable compared to the Confederation profiles we've analyzed." He showed them data on a tablet. Earth's harsh and varied environments forced constant adaptation. Most Confederation species evolved on worlds with stable conditions. They never needed to change quickly. Captain Bennett nodded. "While they were perfecting one approach, we were trying thousands. The Sparrow uses principles they haven't considered. They won't be able to detect it. Our plan," Bennett continued, "is to position ourselves near the Confederation mothership during tomorrow's meeting. Susan has developed a way to tap into their communication systems. We need to know what they're saying when they think we can't hear them. And if we get caught?" John asked. "The Sparrow has defense capabilities," Bennett said carefully. "Let's hope we don't need them." They spent the next few hours preparing. Susan taught John and Lisa how to use the communication equipment. Dr. Porter provided medical injections to help them withstand high-G maneuvers. Just before dawn, they boarded the Sparrow. The interior was surprisingly spacious, with 5 seats filled with advanced controls and displays. "The ship's skin can absorb most scan types," Susan explained as she activated systems, "and it can mimic background radiation to become virtually invisible." As they prepared for takeoff, John's secure phone buzzed. It was a message from Secretary Russell. "Where are you?" "The President needs you at the White House immediately. The Confederation is demanding your presence at the signing ceremony." John showed the message to the others. "They're specifically asking for you." Bennett frowned. "That's concerning. They must suspect something. Or they want to make an example of the one human who questioned them," Lisa suggested. John typed a reply claiming he was following up on important information about the agreement and would be there soon. The hangar doors above them slid open, revealing the pre-dawn sky. "Launching in 30 seconds, Susan announced. "Once we're airborne, we'll engage the stealth systems." Bennett turned to look at his passengers. "Last chance to back out. What we're doing could be considered treason if it goes wrong. And if the Confederation is lying, staying behind could mean the end of Earth as we know it. Lisa countered. John nodded. We need to know the truth. Let's go. The Sparrow rose silently from the hangar, its surface already beginning to shimmer as it adapted to the surrounding air. As they accelerated upward, John looked down at the lights of cities below, wondering if Earth would still be free when he returned. The true test of humanity was about to begin. The Sparrow climbed higher, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind. John had never been to space before. The curve of the planet below seemed both majestic and fragile. Stealth systems fully engaged, Susan reported. We're effectively invisible to their sensors. Captain Bennett guided the ship toward a position behind Earth's moon. As they rounded the lunar surface, John gasped. The Confederation mothership was massive, at least 20 times larger than he had expected. Even more alarming were the 5 smaller ships surrounding it. Those weren't there yesterday, Bennett said grimly. They must have been hiding in the asteroid belt. Lisa studied the sensor readings. Each one is big enough to hold thousands of troops or mining equipment. They're preparing for something, Bennett agreed. Susan, can you tap into their communications yet? Susan's fingers danced across her control panel. Almost there. Their encryption is complex, but follows patterns similar to our own quantum algorithms. After several tense minutes, alien voices filled the cabin, speaking in their own language. I'm running it through our translator, Lisa said. Give me a moment. The strange sounds gradually shifted into broken English. What they heard confirmed their worst fears. Earth signing ceremony will proceed as planned, said a voice they recognized as Ambassador Stor. Once they accept protected territory status, deployment of extraction teams can begin immediately. What of the resistance elements we detected? Asked another voice. Minimal concern, Stor replied. The human Miller and his associates will be contained during the ceremony. Their primitive security measures have already been compromised. John felt a chill. They knew about their suspicions, their military capabilities. Asked the second voice. Laughable, Stor said with what sounded like amusement. Their most advanced weapons can be neutralized by standard shields. Begin moving equipment into lower orbit once the agreement is signed. Susan muted the audio. They're planning to strip mine the planet right after the ceremony. We need to warn Earth, John said urgently. Communications from this distance would be detected, Bennett reminded him. We have to go back. Wait, Lisa interrupted. They're saying something about a Grand Arbiter arriving. Susan unmuted the audio. Grand Arbiter Krell will oversee the ceremony, Stor was saying. His presence honors this small acquisition but requires additional security protocols. A Grand Arbiter for such a minor world? Questioned the other voice. Earth has unusual mineral concentrations. The High Council considers it a priority acquisition. Lisa looked up from her console. A Grand Arbiter must be someone important in their hierarchy. That gives me an idea, John said slowly. Captain, how close can we get to their main ship without being detected? Dangerously close, Bennett replied. Why? Because I think I know how to stop the ceremony. John explained his plan quickly. The Confederation respected hierarchy and protocol. If they could use that against them, they might buy Earth more time. It's risky, Bennett warned. If they detect us. If we do nothing, Earth becomes a mining operation by tomorrow, John replied. They spent the next hour adjusting their plan. Susan used the Sparrow systems to analyze the Confederation ship's docking procedures. Lisa studied the alien language patterns to help John perfect what he needed to say. As they prepared to make their move, Dr. Porter approached John. I've been analyzing the Confederation's biological data more thoroughly, he said. There's something else you should know. Their species have very specific environmental requirements. Earth would be extremely uncomfortable for them without special suits. How does that help us? John asked. It means any occupation would require significant resources on their part, if we can make it seem too costly or difficult. They might look elsewhere, John finished, nodding. Good. We'll add that to our approach. Captain Bennett guided the Sparrow toward the mothership, using the smaller vessels as cover. They approached a maintenance hatch that Susan had identified as a blind spot in the ship's security sensors. Everyone clear on the plan? John asked, checking his spacesuit one final time. Lisa nodded, looking nervous but determined. Get in, access their central communication system, broadcast our message to both their fleet and Earth, then get out before they realize what happened. And hope we don't start an interstellar war in the process, Bennett added grimly. John took a deep breath. For Earth. The others echoed his words as the Sparrow gently docked against the alien ship's hull. The fate of their planet now rested on their ability to outsmart a galactic power that thought Earth was just another primitive world to conquer. The maintenance hatch opened with surprising ease. Susan had correctly identified the Confederation's security blind spot. John, Lisa, and Bennett floated inside while Susan stayed behind to monitor the Sparrow. Remember, we have 40 minutes before the signing ceremony begins, Bennett whispered as they moved through the dimly lit corridor. The interior of the alien ship was oddly bland, with smooth gray walls and minimal decoration. They passed several storage areas filled with equipment that looked like mining gear. This way, Lisa directed, following the map Susan had created from the ship's transmissions. The communication hub should be 2 levels up. They used service passages to avoid the main corridors where crew members might spot them. The artificial gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's, making their movements awkward but faster. As they approached a junction, voices echoed from around the corner. John signaled the others to stop. 2 alien crew members walked past, deep in conversation. John couldn't understand their words, but their tone seemed agitated. Something's got them worried, Lisa whispered once they had passed. They continued upward, reaching a section with more activity. Bennett used a device Susan had given him to create a minor power fluctuation in a nearby system. When several crew members rushed to investigate, the team slipped past into the communication center. The room was smaller than expected, with only 3 workstations. Luckily, it was empty. We have about 5 minutes before someone returns, Bennett estimated. Lisa went to work immediately, connecting a small device to the alien console. This will translate our message into their language and format it according to their protocols. John reviewed what they had learned about Confederation communication etiquette. The message had to appear to come from someone with authority. Ready, Lisa said after a tense minute. What's our message? John nodded and began to speak. Attention all Confederation vessels. This is an official protocol notice from the Office of the Grand Arbiter. Serious violations of Confederation Expansion Code have been detected regarding the Earth acquisition. All ceremonies and deployments are suspended pending investigation. Lisa added official-sounding Confederation authorization codes that Susan had intercepted earlier. Now for the Earth transmission, John continued. To all Earth governments. The Confederation Agreement contains hidden resource extraction clauses that will allow them to strip mine our planet. Do not sign. Review Section 27B of their proposal regarding mineral rights allocation. We have evidence of their true intentions. Bennett watched the door nervously. Hurry, we're running out of time. Sending both messages now, Lisa confirmed, broadcasting on all frequencies. Just as she finished, an alarm began to sound. We've been detected, Bennett warned. Time to go. They rushed back toward the service corridor, but the door was already opening. 2 security officers entered, carrying weapons. Bennett reacted instantly, using his military training to disable them before they could fire. This way, he directed, pointing to an alternative route on their map. They ran through unfamiliar passages, the alarm growing louder. Around a corner, they encountered something unexpected. Another alien, but smaller than the others, and wearing different clothing. Vrelnox, Lisa said in surprise, recognizing the junior diplomat from their briefings on Earth. The alien stared at them for a moment, then gestured to a side passage. This way. Quickly. Why would you help us? John asked, suspicious. Not all in the Confederation support the High Council's methods, Vrel Knox replied. There are many who believe in true cooperation, not exploitation. With no better options, they followed. Vrel Knox led them through a series of maintenance tunnels to a small docking area. Your ship is detected but not yet captured, the alien said. You can reach it from here. Come with us, John offered. You'll face punishment if they learn you helped. Vrel Knox shook his head. I can do more good from within. There are others like me. You are not alone in this galaxy. The alien handed John a small device. This contains locations of other worlds resisting Confederation control. A network we call the Resistance. Contact them. Security forces could be heard approaching. Vrel Knox pointed to an airlock. Go now. They hurried through the airlock and used their suit's thrusters to return to the Sparrow. Susan had already prepared for immediate departure. As they detached from the mothership, Bennett spotted Confederation fighters launching in pursuit. Can we outrun them? John asked anxiously. Susan smiled for the first time since they'd met. They have no idea what this ship can do. The Sparrow accelerated away from the mothership at impossible speed, leaving the Confederation vessels behind. On the communication screen, they could see the chaos their message had created. The signing ceremony was in disarray, with Earth delegates demanding explanations. We've bought Earth some time, Lisa said. But what happens now? Now, John replied, looking at the device Vrel Knox had given him. We find these resistance allies. This isn't just about Earth anymore. The Sparrow raced through space, pushing its advanced engines to their limits. Behind them, 3 Confederation pursuit ships followed, though they were quickly falling behind. They can't match our speed, Susan said, monitoring the displays. But they're sending signals to other ships in the system. They're trying to cut us off. John studied the star map, where Vrel Knox's device had highlighted several locations. The closest resistance outpost appears to be on a moon in the Saturn system. Can we make it there? Lisa asked. Bennett nodded. If we push the engines, yes. But we'll need to be careful. If the Confederation has cataloged our solar system, they might have ships near Saturn too. A signal came through on their Earth communication channel. It was Secretary Russell. John, what have you done? Her face on the screen looked both angry and frightened. The Confederation representatives are threatening to leave. They say we've insulted them with false accusations. Those accusations aren't false, John replied firmly. Did you check Section 27B like we suggested? Russell's expression changed slightly. Yes, the President's team is reviewing it now. The language is concerning. But John, they're demanding we turn you over as a condition for continuing talks. Don't trust them, Madam Secretary. We've seen what they do to their protected territories. Tell the President to stall for time. We're working on something. The connection ended abruptly as their ship passed behind Mars, temporarily blocking the signal. We're receiving a transmission from Saturn, Susan announced. It's on a frequency Vrel Knox's device indicated would be safe. A new face appeared on their screen. Clearly alien, but from a different species than the Confederation representatives. This being had features that reminded John of Earth's sea creatures. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. You are broadcasting on a restricted channel. John stepped forward. My name is John Miller from Earth. We were given this frequency by Vrel Knox of the Confederation Diplomatic Corps. He said you could help us. The alien was silent for a moment. Vrel Knox is a known sympathizer to our cause. If he sent you, you may approach. Follow these coordinates exactly. Any deviation will be considered hostile. The screen displayed a specific path through Saturn's rings to a small rocky moon. That route will be difficult to navigate, Bennett warned. Lots of debris. But excellent cover from Confederation scanners, Susan pointed out. They altered course toward Saturn, the massive ringed planet growing larger in their viewports. As they approached, Susan detected energy signatures from behind one of Saturn's larger moons. Confederation ships, she confirmed. At least 2 of them. They're in a holding pattern, not searching. They might not know we're here yet. Bennett guided the Sparrow carefully through the rings, following the exact path they'd been given. Ice and rock fragments drifted past them, some striking their hull with soft pings. Almost there, Bennett said as they approached the small, dark moon. Suddenly, their sensors lit up with warnings. The Confederation ships had detected them and were moving to intercept. They're blocking our path to the moon, Susan reported. Bennett's face hardened. Hold on, this is going to get rough. He pushed the Sparrow into a series of maneuvers that would have been impossible in a conventional spacecraft. The ship twisted and turned through the ring debris, using the larger rocks as shields against the Confederation weapons. They're firing some kind of energy weapon, Lisa observed, watching the displays. A blast caught the edge of their ship, causing it to shudder. Warning lights flashed across Susan's console. Engine 2 is damaged, she reported calmly. Rerouting power. Just when it seemed they couldn't escape, a barrage of weapons fire erupted from the small moon's surface, targeting the Confederation ships. The unexpected attack forced the alien vessels to pull back. Approach vector clear, came the voice of their resistance contact. Hurry. Bennett guided their damaged ship toward a narrow opening in the moon's rocky surface that hadn't been visible before. As they passed through, massive doors closed behind them. They landed in a surprisingly large hangar carved into the moon. Several ships of unfamiliar design were docked around them. As the Sparrow's hatch opened, they were met by a group of aliens representing at least 4 different species. Their contact stepped forward. I am Resistance Leader Trell Khan. Welcome to our humble outpost. Thank you for your help, John replied. Trell Khan's expression turned serious. Don't thank me yet. The Confederation has just declared war on Earth. War, John repeated in disbelief. Earth barely has space capability. How can we fight a galactic power? Trell Khan led them to a command center deeper inside the moonbase. Screens showed the Confederation fleet moving into aggressive positions around Earth. You underestimate your planet, Trell Khan said. The Confederation has also underestimated you, which gives us an advantage. The command center buzzed with activity as members of various alien species monitored communications and readied ships. John was struck by how different these beings were from each other, unlike the more uniform appearance of the Confederation representatives. The Confederation depends on all member species following the same protocols and using standardized technology, Trell Khan explained. That's their weakness. They cannot adapt quickly to the unexpected. Susan was examining the resistance ships visible on the screens. Your technology looks different from the Confederation's. Because we each bring our own world's innovations, replied a female voice. They turned to see a human woman approaching. I'm Lori Bennett, she said. Captain Bennett's sister. Frank Bennett looked shocked. Lori, you disappeared 3 years ago on a deep space mission. She nodded. I found the resistance, or rather, they found me. I've been helping them understand human technology and culture. And she's been invaluable, Trell Khan added. Human approaches to problem solving are remarkably diverse. You try solutions no other species would consider. A loud alarm sounded. One of the technicians called out, Confederation forces are beginning their attack on Earth. The main screen showed Confederation ships moving into Earth orbit. Several had launched smaller vessels toward the planet's surface. They're sending troops, John asked, horrified. No, Lori answered. Those are combat assessment drones. They're testing Earth's defenses before committing actual forces. On screen, the first wave of drones approached Earth's atmosphere. Suddenly, many of them began exploding or veering off course. What's happening? Lisa asked. Trell Khan looked surprised. Your planet is defending itself effectively. Captain Bennett smiled proudly. Project Breakthrough wasn't just about the Sparrow. We developed planetary defense systems based on theories that the Confederation would consider impossible. The screen showed more drones being destroyed. The Confederation ships pulled back to a higher orbit, clearly reassessing their strategy. "Your defenses won't hold forever," Trell Khan warned. "But this gives us time to coordinate." John turned to him. "Coordinate what? Even with Earth's unexpected defenses, we can't win a prolonged war." "We don't need to win through force," Lisa said thoughtfully. "We need to change the rules. The Confederation depends on everyone following established protocols. What if we showed other worlds there's a different way?" Lori nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. For 3 years, I've been sharing human innovations with the Resistance. Our adaptability, our diverse approaches. These concepts are spreading. The Confederation isn't as unified as they want everyone to believe." Trell Khan added, "Many worlds joined out of fear or had no choice. If they see Earth standing up successfully, they might stand up too," John finished. Trell Khan called up a galactic map. "We've established communications with sympathetic groups on 12 Confederation worlds. Your broadcast from their mothership has already spread widely." Lori pointed to several highlighted planets. "These worlds are watching Earth closely. If you can demonstrate that your approach works, they're prepared to challenge Confederation control." "So Earth isn't just fighting for itself," John said slowly. "We're potentially starting a galactic revolution. Your world was supposed to be just another easy conquest," Trell Khan said. "Instead, you've become a symbol of resistance." A technician interrupted. "We're receiving a transmission from Earth. They're asking for you specifically, John Miller." The screen changed to show President Grant. He looked tired but determined. "Miller, we got your warning just in time. The Confederation tried to rush us into signing before we fully reviewed the agreement. When we confronted them about Section 27B, they revealed their true intentions." "Mr. President, we've made contact with allies who can help us," John replied. "But we need to coordinate Earth's response carefully." The President nodded. "Tell me what we need to do." As John began explaining their plan, Susan touched his arm and pointed to another screen. News was spreading throughout the galaxy. The small, supposedly primitive planet called Earth was successfully defying the mighty Confederation, and other worlds were taking notice. 1 year later, John stood at a window in the newly constructed Galactic Cooperation Center in Geneva. The building featured architecture that combined styles from Earth and 7 other worlds. Outside, humans mingled with visitors from across the galaxy. "Hard to believe it's only been a year," Lisa said, joining him at the window. The gold band on her finger caught the sunlight. They had married 3 months ago, once the immediate crisis had ended. From nearly becoming a mining colony to hosting the first Galactic Cooperation Summit, John agreed. Nobody could have predicted this. The past year had been extraordinary. After Earth's defense systems successfully repelled the initial Confederation attack, 12 other worlds had openly declared their support for Earth's resistance. The Confederation leadership, faced with unprecedented rebellion, had been forced to negotiate. Those negotiations had revealed deep divisions within the Confederation itself. Many member worlds had joined under duress and seized the opportunity to demand reforms. Within 2 months, the old Confederation Council had been dissolved. A new governing body, the Galactic Cooperation Council, had taken its place, with Earth holding a surprising amount of influence. Ambassador Miller. A young aide named Sam Harrison approached. "The delegates from Queen Lermalia's system have arrived." John nodded. "Please show them to the main conference room. We'll begin in 15 minutes." As Sam left, Dr. Nancy Kim entered with a tablet in hand. "The quantum entanglement communication system is fully operational," she reported. "We can now communicate instantly with all 27 aligned worlds." "That was impossible according to Confederation science," Lisa remarked. Nancy smiled. "That's why it works. They never tried because their theory said it couldn't be done." This had been the pattern over the past year. Human innovation, combined with technologies from other resistance worlds, had produced breakthroughs that the standardized Confederation approach had missed for centuries. Earth's defense system had been just the beginning. Susan Parker had led a team that revolutionized faster-than-light travel. Dr. Alan Porter's work on genetic adaptability had created medical treatments that worked across species. Kyle Jackson's unorthodox approach to computing had broken through limitations that alien scientists had accepted for generations. Captain Bennett joined them, now wearing the uniform of the new Joint Space Command. The last of the old Confederation hardliners have withdrawn from the Sol system, he reported. Counselor Vexnora's faction has fully committed to the new council. And Ambassador Zex Tora? John asked. Removed from diplomatic service and under investigation for multiple violations of the new resource protection laws. John checked the time. We should head to the conference room. As they walked through the building, they passed laboratories where scientists from a dozen worlds worked side by side, exchange programs bringing students from across the galaxy, and art installations celebrating diverse cultural perspectives. The main conference room was filled with representatives from 32 worlds. Some looked nearly human, others utterly alien, but all were engaged in animated discussion. At the center sat Trelkan, now serving as the first Cooperation Council chair, and Vrelnox, who had become a key advocate for reform. John took his seat at the table beside President Grant. The president leaned over and whispered, "Not bad for a mid-level State Department employee." John smiled. "I was just in the right place at the right time." "No," Lisa said, squeezing his hand under the table. "You saw what others missed. You questioned what others accepted. That's the human quality that's reshaping the galaxy." Trelkan called the meeting to order. "Today we finalized the Galactic Cooperation Charter based on principles of mutual respect, shared innovation, and environmental protection. 1 year ago, these ideas seemed impossible under Confederation rule." The alien looked directly at John. "They thought Earth was just another planet to exploit. Instead, you showed the galaxy a new path forward. Your world's unique perspective, combining technologies rather than standardizing them, embracing diversity rather than enforcing uniformity, has created something remarkable." As the official proceedings began, John thought about how differently things might have gone if he hadn't questioned the Confederation's offer that first day. One small act of skepticism had cascaded into galactic change. The final document was signed by all 32 worlds. Unlike the Confederation's exploitative agreements, this charter established principles of cooperation, knowledge sharing, and respect for each world's sovereignty and environment. As celebrations began, John looked out at the stars becoming visible in the evening sky. Somewhere out there, countless other worlds were watching what Earth had started. The galaxy would never be the same again.